attention, let me call this meeting to order. This is the April 11th Macedonia Council meeting, and I'm thinking it's looking like about 7:40, Josephine, 7:41. Could you please give me a roll call?
Yes, sir. Mr. Barker?
Here.
Ms. Darrell? Here. Mr. Engel?
Here.
Mr. Martin? Mr. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Molnar?
Here.
Thank you. This evening we're going to have our Council Vice President, Nick Molnar, say the Pledge of Allegiance, and Rita Dara will say the invocation.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change and the courage to change the things we can and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen.
All right. Next item on the agenda. It's a good one. Let me tell you a little story. At the north end of town, the extreme north end of town, on Friday, March 29th at approximately 3:19 p.m., the City of Macedonia Dispatch Center received a 911 call from a handicapped woman stating that her house is on fire and she's trapped inside. Dispatcher Karen Nelson immediately notified both the Macedonia Police and Fire Department personnel. Police arrived on the scene minutes later. You know, you have to remember that the police are out, they're on the streets, and the fire department has to go all the way from here to that house at the extreme northern end of the city, so it took our fire department some time to get there. Sergeant Vince Danko entered the home through the front door, and doing so, he had to actually crawl on the floor due to the heavy smoke inside. He found his way to the disabled woman and was able to maneuver her, remember she's disabled, and her walker towards the front door. And remember that Vince couldn't even tell where the front door was. It was really, really a scary situation. All the while this is going on, with Vince gagging and unable to breathe and trying to find his directions in the dark swirling smoke, and his officers that were with him were calling his name through the front door. Finally, he was able to get him out. I'm going to tell you, folks, I went there later than everybody because mayors aren't as fast as police and fire. No way. I went there and most of the fire was out and it was still smoking. I was 150 feet to 100 feet away from where the fire took place while the chief briefed me. I stunk like hell from the smell of that smoke. I walked in the house, my wife had a conniption. It was terrible. You can't even imagine it. Just the smell of the smoke will gag you, let alone the fact that you can't breathe air. It was terrible. So I'm very proud now to ask these officers, dispatchers, please come down to the front. I've got something for you.
Yeah, okay. That's Mr. The one.
Okay, why don't you introduce yourself so everybody knows, nice and loud now for the cameras.
Sergeant Vince Danko.
Dispatcher Karen Nelson.
Patrolman Nick Zabel.
Patrolman Brandon Heisler.
Thank you from the mayor. I'd love to give every one of you a hug, but people might talk. So. I have offer you a proclamation for life-saving heroism. Whereas, congratulations are in order for Sergeant Vince Stanko, Patrolman Brandon Heisler, and Nicholas Zabel for courageously and unselfishly risking their own lives to save the life of a 70-year-old woman from a house fire on March 29, 2013. And whereas a fatality was avoided because of the skill and rapid response of all those involved. Whereas this courageous action by Macedonia's very own policeman averted what could have been a tragic loss for family, friends, and our community with an act of heroism which deserves a special recognition by the governing body of this city. Now therefore, I, Donald Cookta, Mayor of the City of Macedonia, do hereby tender this certificate of heroism with the deepest gratitude and sincere appreciation of the City of Macedonia for this selfless, heroic action. Good job. Thank you. People here that had connections with the fire. Maybe we can kind of point out family. Would you do that, starting with you? Members that you have?
Front row, I've got my mom, my sister.
Good job.
Ex-in-laws. My two most important people, my daughter and my son down there.
Okay.
And I have some friends from the police department here, friends I coach with, showed up tonight, see some other friends be back. I really appreciate everybody coming. Really.
Very good. Okay, kiddo, how about you?
And my fellow dispatchers, well, Kim, Tracy, and Claire. And Jessica, she's where did she come from? Jessica and Sandra.
You know, you can't even imagine what the inside of a dispatch room looks like. I mean, at one time, while she's calling all the fire departments around, notifying them because they all joined together to come in for this fire. How many do we have here, Tim?
I believe there were 7.
7 fire departments. She organized all that, did all that, threw the telephone over to the other dispatcher, and she went at it and took care of things. It's nuts, but these are special people. Thank you very much. Okay, next.
I have my wife and my 4 kids here.
Okay.
My mom, my dad, everybody that I work with, friends that I consider friends now, just people that I've met over the year that I've been here.
When you got out, tell me about when you guys finally got the woman out. You ended up collapsing, didn't you? I mean, it was that bad?
Yeah, I didn't collapse because of everything I took in. I just had to get down on my hands and knees and just cough up and spit up everything that I took in. Once I got a couple of good breaths, I was able to get back and go.
It's not.
I didn't get reasons. I just had to get
All of you. I mean, everybody, just the fact that you stuck together. And you know what else is important to me? Sometimes people say those words, it's not my job. You know, the firemen are coming. They'll take care of it. And they always do. But you took it upon yourselves to get in there and get it done. And that's why I'm so proud of you. Thank you.
We would have waited if we could.
The last officer.
Yeah, the last officer needs to talk about his family.
My wife's here, and obviously there's co-workers and friends.
Well, great. Good job. And you're kind of a rookie, aren't you?
I'd been with the department for 2 weeks when
I knew we picked winners. There's one more person we have talked about tonight from our fire chief, Tim Black. He said that this person did a very, very good job of taking control, making the phone call that he needed to make so that we could get there in time. Hayden, Avery, Lukasic, Barber. Okay, I'm sorry. Come on up here, pal. Thank you for doing what you did to save lives and letting us get there to help. So for you, come on over here by me. Okay, this is for you. Whereas it is with great honor that I, Donald Cook, Mayor of the City of Macedonia, commend 9-year-old Hayden Avery Lukasic Barber, and whereas Hayden provided guidance as to which door entry to use to assist in the heroic and courageous life-saving efforts made by Sergeant Vince Danko, Petroleum Brandon Heisler, and Nicholas Zabel, who risked their lives to save the life of 70-year-old woman from the house fire on March 29, 2013. Now therefore, I, Donald Cookta, Mayor of the City of Macedonia, do hereby commend the efforts of Hayden. Thank you. Okay, Emily, are you here?
Hi.
Are you able to come up here, or do you want us to come to you? Okay, well, you're the lady that's the star of this little drama. You're heroes, my heroes too. I'm very glad to see you able to be here. Shake my hand. You would have been in a mess. Sorry, thanks. You all set? Okay, folks, thank you. We'll see.
Mr. Mayor, I didn't want to interrupt, but Vince wanted to take some photos with his family and some friends. If we're going to move out and do that, if that's okay. I don't want to interrupt the meeting.
Absolutely.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you for that report.
That's all right. Sometimes we do.
Have a nice evening. Thank you. We'll start here in just a minute. Okay, good. We're going to move on then with our meeting, and the next item on the agenda is public comments. But before we get into public comments, our Vice President, Nick Molnar, would like to make an announcement.
We've had a lot of discussion and a range of emotions surrounding the $100 fee with the rec center. In talking to Mr. Martin, Obviously, he's not here this evening. We're going to abolish the fee this evening, so I can put the rest, some of the concerns that are out there about that. We all feel that that's not in our best interest for our rec center or any of the residents or any non-residents. So I wanted to lay that to rest before we got started so that we don't cause any more concern regarding that. Thank you.
Thank you. So in other words, if you're here to protest that, you've been heard before you even start, and that legislation will not pass this evening. It will be defeated. All right, so we're going to move into citizens' comments, starting with Jim Zabel. And remember, there's a 5-minute limit, folks, and you need to sign this sheet in order to speak.
Greetings, Jim Zabel, Berkshire Drive, Macedonia. Navy terminology, Bravo Zulu to our emergency service crew for what they do there. Got a little bit understanding of what they have to go through, and good training always gets good results. Indeed. So Bravo Zulu to them. My remarks are going to be brief concerning Ordinance 34, 2013. I talked about this at the last council meeting. I wish to remind council of the debate that occurred during the March 28th work session on this issue. It concerned legislation involving the status change of a service department employee from part-time employment to full-time employment. As written, that ordinance 42-2013 would have increased this person's pay by 33%. The question was proposed at that council work session: what did this person do yesterday as a part-timer that they do differently today as a full-time employee that would justify this increase? Evidently, there was no acceptable answer because an amendment was passed to hire this person full-time but at her part-time pay. All council members voted yes to this amendment but one. Not including the $1,800 opt-out payment taken by some on council with last year's vote for full-time health care benefits, Ordinance 34, 2013 will raise council salary from approximately $5,000 to $7,200 annually, or by about 38%. So I ask the question, what is it that council will do on January 1st, 2014 that is any different from what council does today that would merit a 38% pay increase? Am I to understand that there is a different standard of reward for part-time members of council vice full-time service department employees? How do you explain that a 33% pay increase is unacceptable to that one employee, but yet a 38% pay raise is perfectly acceptable for the council? If this council wants full-time benefits, let the voters decide if we should have a full-time council. Is there anyone here who has the courage to propose a measure to put on the ballot asking the residents to vote for a full-time council and the fees that are associated with it? All members except for Mr. Martin felt that the 33% raise was unnecessary for the service department employee. Let's see if they think that a 38% pay raise is perfectly acceptable for themselves, though. If there's any hypocrisy here, it will be with council. Mr. Barker, Mr. Engel, Ms. Darrow, Mr. Miller, and Mr. Molnar should all vote no and eliminate this unnecessary pay raise, just as they voted to amend Ordinance 42, 2013 and eliminate Mrs. Zapata's pay raise.
All right, Jim, moving on next is Michael Miller.
Michael Miller, 1047 Berkshire Drive, Macedonia, 26 years. I think it's 27, corrected. I have a few questions for our finance director. Number one is, do you recall me making a records request for the chief's W-2 and the lieutenant's W-2 form from 2012?
Yes.
Was that request answered in a timely fashion?
I believe so.
It was, I think, a couple of minutes. Is there anything that you know of that would be improper about that request from any citizen?
No.
And after you answered that request, what's the chain of command? Who knows that you answered that request, and was the request made anonymously or not?
It was not made anonymously.
And after that request was granted, so to speak, what's the next step? Where does that information go after it leaves your desk?
Our policy is to then inform the assistant, executive assistant, that a records request was asked and then it was completed.
So the mayor's secretary would be the next person that would know that request was made and responded to.
Yes,
And then where does it go from there?
that's all.
That's all you know?
That's all I
So
know.
to your knowledge, the employees were not kept from this information and were not given that information from you?
No.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
All right, Kristen Sullivan? Yes?
You mentioned, it was about the fees for the rec center.
Okay, thanks for coming down tonight. People should do that more often.
And it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yes, I did speak
I
to.
rearranged my schedule, work nights, so I have to rearrange.
You told me that last night. I was thrilled to hear that. So thank you for coming.
Next is Bob Switkowski. Hi, Bob.
Hi. Good evening. I'm just here tonight to talk just ever so briefly about our current sign moratorium and to see if we can get a sign for fun and stuff. As some of you know, we lost our sign about 2 years ago when they started the road construction. It was scheduled to be taken down, but they actually ran it over prior to that, so we actually lost it. Since then, we put up a flag for a little while, and now we have just a little tiny sign up there. But I've studied the whole code as diligently as possible and came up with the sign and sent it over to several sign contractors who called the city. And they were then informed that, unfortunately, during that time, they were going to pass a moratorium on EMC signs beginning, I think, December 22nd. This was like a week or two before that, last December. By the time that we came to a decision on the sign and found some people to do it. So I'm looking for, I think all of you already have pictures of the sign and what it would look like. Mm-hmm. Do we all have? Okay. I have some here for you.
Actually, I haven't seen that. I'd like to see it.
It's in your mailbox. Kayla put,
No, it's just,
Sure, that was great.
oh, Kayla said, here they all are. Never
Oh,
never
you're
mind.
hiding.
No, Kayla put them in my mailbox.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
I thought she put them in all their mailboxes.
Okay.
That's funny. Sorry, Kayla.
Besides the picture, there's even a part where I addressed all the points of code and so forth. And I believe, and talking to the Planning Commission, that it meets all the standards of codes as it was reviewed by them. And the only thing holding us up is this moratorium on this EMC sign, which is set to expire, I think, June or so forth, but it takes some time to get these things ordered and get things done. And the summer is coming upon us, and that's our busy season. We like to get it installed at the start of summer, not order at the start of summer, so it's here at the end of summer. So I'm here to see what we can do about it. And that's about it.
How have you guys been doing since the construction going on?
Oh, business is down, definitely about
I
20.
figured it has to be huge.
Yeah, yeah. So we've been battling that. Even the summer before that, we had the water main break before that all started, and then closed the road. We closed the roads a couple different ways, and then we're moving it back and forth, and it's been the
And they're
last
saying
2 bad summers. So
July or August this year, right? So it's another summer.
correct, yeah. I don't know when. I think it's set to expire by, I thought, the fall, actually. I thought they had to be done by November, but I'm not even sure. I thought it was all the way through the summer, but I think they're ahead of schedule. It looks like it, and talking to them, so.
Yeah, they're laying the beams for the span.
Mr. Deemer, are we able to do this? The moratorium, was that a motion, or do we have to have? Can we do this by motion?
It was an ordinance, but you can by motion pass an exemption for someone according to that moratorium.
For a single issue?
Yes, you can. The moratorium itself, as I had indicated, is problematic. We have ordinances. You can only control signs through legislation and ordinances. Moratoriums are not considered to be regulatory legislation. That's just prohibition. So if it's somebody that you think would be qualified anyway, and they've been approved by planning and building, it would make sense to do it.
Hey, Joe, the moratorium, is it just, someone brought it to my attention that the moratorium was just in certain areas of our city. Do you know if that's true or not?
I think it was general.
Yeah, because somebody said they don't think it applies to the Highland Road, and I wanted to ask that here tonight, and what
I
was the
don't
other
believe
one?
that's correct.
Yeah, I think it's general.
Yeah.
It's general
Okay.
because Vic Sohar was at the meeting that we had, talking about how much benefit his business had from the sign, and the moratorium passed anyway. The moratorium is actually going against constitutional rights given to you, Bob. So I never was in favor of this, and I think our businesses need the city to respond to what we put you through for 2 years while we built that bridge. That bridge actually just wipes out all visibility coming from the east of your place. So without a good sign there, without a message sender, you're not going to be able to recover back now what you've lost for 2 years. So I would ask council please to seriously consider lifting that ban so this man can make some money and catch up.
Yeah, Josephine, my second question was going to be to you. I believe the moratorium was for only 6 months. Could you please see when that 6 months is up?
Well, wait, 2 seconds,
Yeah.
I could actually go get it.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. That was going to be my second question tonight.
The mayor's going to sing while you're getting this.
And I did provide
I'm sorry.
pictures.
You're right, I just.
If we're going to lift this moratorium to help this man order this sign and get the ball rolling, why would we wait till June? I mean, what date is on the legislation is immaterial. We have a situation where this man needs to get this sign. I want to see him get this sign. I want his business to do well because that's what Macedonia is about. We have to take care of our businesses because they take care of us. They pay city income tax. Bob's an important part of this community just as anybody else is who pays real estate tax. In fact, his city income taxes are probably more with the employees he has than some people pay in that portion of real estate tax that goes to the city, which is only 8% of your total tax.
Well, I'll tell you what, I would like to, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion, but I don't want to go out of order.
Go right ahead.
So I'll make a motion to, when it gets to that time, to allow
We're going
that.
to get to that after legislation, or can we do it now?
Can do it now.
Well, then I would like to make a motion to lift the moratorium to allow the sign as presented and approved by Planning Commission to go forward.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Or do you want to do a roll call? Because there's no opposed.
You're okay.
Okay. Good.
Okay, thank you very much.
You betcha. Thank you. And thanks for hanging in there.
Thank you. You got that off me.
All right, that handles our comments for this evening. So we're going to move right into pending and/or new legislation, starting with ordinance 34-2013.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance 34, 2013 for third reading by title only.
An ordinance adjusting the salary of council effective January 1, 2014, in order to comply with the minimum earnable salary to earn full-time credit as mandated by the Ohio Public Employee Retirement System as set forth in Senate Bill 343.
And what's your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, I'd offer ordinance 34, 2013 or I'd move that we pass and post ordinance 34, 2013 according to law.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Barker?
No.
Ms. Darrow?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
No.
Mr. Miller?
No.
Mr. Molnar?
No.
Ordinance number 34-2013 fails. Moving on to ordinance number 36-2013.
I'd like to offer ordinance 36, 2013 for its second and third reading by title only, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance freezing all fees for Macedonia residents at the Macedonia Recreation Center.
And what's your pleasure?
I move we pass and post ordinance 36, 2013 according to law.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Barker,
I think the first fee was a bad idea. I think this second fee is, I don't even know the adjective I want to use. No.
Ms. Darrow,
No.
Mr. Engel,
No.
Mr. Miller,
No.
Ordinance number 36.
Oh, wait.
I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Molnar. I'm gonna fool everybody and
Yes, it's 2 meetings in a row you skipped me.
well, he
Subliminal, isn't it?
What are you trying to say?
I'll tell you what, I owe you big time.
Yes.
Mr. Molnar.
No.
I want to make sure there's nobody left. All right, ordinance 36, 2013 fails. Ordinance number 37, 2013.
I'd like to offer ordinance 37, 2013 for its second and third reading by title only, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance creating an annual user fee for the non-resident users of the Macedonia Recreation Center.
And what's your pleasure?
I move we pass and post ordinance 37, 2013 according to law.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Barker,
The mayor told me I spoke early, so that was my comments for this one as well. No.
Ms. Darrow,
No.
Mr. Engel,
No.
Mr. Miller,
No.
and Mr. Molnar.
No.
Ordinance 37-2013 fails. We'll move on to ordinance 45-2013.
I'd like to offer ordinance 45, 2013 for its second reading by title only.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an independent contract agreement with the city of Stowe for economic development services.
Ordinance number 47-2013.
I'd like to offer ordinance 47, 2013 for its first, second, and third reading by title only.
I thought it was going to be just first reading.
I thought that was 45 you were talking about.
I thought we said we determine on the floor.
Yeah.
What's that?
We got it.
Well, there you go.
Well, I have a motion for first, second, and third.
Second.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
All right, we need 5 for that to move forward, so I guess we automatically revert to first reading.
I would rescind my motion and put that through for the first reading by title only.
An ordinance amending codified ordinance 16101G relating to employee status upon transfer within the city.
Moving on, ordinance number 48-2013.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance 48, 2013 for a first reading by title only.
An ordinance adjusting the city prosecutor's maximum allowable billable hours.
All right, we're going to move on to any other motions or legislative actions this evening.
Mr. Mayor, I have a motion. I'd like to make a motion authorizing the service director to begin construction repairs at the rec center for structural issues, including tuck pointing and some other issues. There's 2 contracts, one in the approximate value of $14,000 and the second an approximate value of $18,000, with the understanding that legislation will be presented next week to affirm those contracts, and that council would thereby need to vote affirmative next week to ratify the action that's being taken tonight, which would allow the work to commence 2 weeks earlier. And this motion has been approved by both the law director and the finance director as meeting the needs of the state auditor.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, and good job, Jim. Jim's been working real hard. What we're gonna do is we're gonna address the crack in the wall. at the rec center and also do some brickwork work outside. It's very, very important to keep water coming in, from coming in, so cement, what do you call it, point and tuck, or?
Tuck point.
Tuck point, I was close. All right, so we're gonna do that. Thank you for looking into it as you did. I mean, you spent a lot of time on this. Thank you. All right, are there any other motions or legislative actions? Hearing none. Correspondence from the clerk?
I have none, sir.
All right, next item on the agenda is the mayor's report. You know, I thought some of the statistics regarding our police department might be of interest to you. Let's go down to the basics. We'll do a period from 2002 to 2012, 10 years. Basically, as with any statistics, they have their ups and downs. So let's just go from 2002 and compare it to 2012. Our officers made, in 2002, processed 200 cases for driving under suspension / driving under the influence. In 2012, 600. Felony arrests, 2002, 42 processed. 2012, 130. Misdemeanor arrests, 2002, 250 processed. 2012, 910. Our police department, our prosecutor are an important part of keeping this city safe. Myra's here tonight. I just want to take a minute in this and say thank you for the way you take care of us. Would you believe that we had over 3,062 unit calls in January alone of this year? 3,000. All right, so that means a police car was called. Our dispatchers had 5,260 CAD. CAD is computer data that they put in, entries for that month. 5,000. 5,000. And then we have them up here, and they get these emergencies, and you know, they have to go through, it's crazy just to get their job done. Of course, now some of those 5,000 were, well, the officer is gonna go into a station and get some gas, but that's only a small percentage. Most of it is something that an officer has to respond to a call. You know, it's fascinating to watch our dispatch, fire, and police react to a call. I'll tell you what, I've witnessed that many times, and you can't believe it. I have been in the room when we're toned out. That means they play these special tones over the radio, and we have to jump into action, and they jump into action. They don't nonchalantly get up and meander out the door. Every time I see it, I'm in awe. We have a fantastic team of people looking over us. And to me, this indicates we're a city that cares about the health, safety, and welfare of its residents and its businesses. I think this is also part of sending a message to those who constantly break the law. Don't even think about doing it in Macedonia. I firmly believe that Macedonia is avoided because of the stance against crime we've taken. Macedonia has a mayor's court. Macedonia has jails. Macedonia will arrest those who laugh at the law. If you know somebody who's likely to break the law, I would suggest you tell them don't do it in this town. Changing the subject a little bit to something a little better, remember to join me and our fire explorers for Macedonia's Earth Day that is coming up on April 20th from 9 a.m. in the morning till 12 noon. I urge everyone that can to participate in our first step towards beautifying our city. It's all about cleaning up. Watch for further information in the media, and I'd like to thank our service and fire department and Scott's Lab who will be making it all happen. There's going to be some giveaways, and they'll probably tell you a little bit more about that when they give their reports. There'll be some giveaways for those who participate. We're also talking about a Learn to Fish event, and we'll keep you posted as that unfolds. It will be for a limited number of participants and will result in a free fishing rod and reel from the Ohio Division of Natural Resources for those youngsters who participate.
Is it only for youngsters?
Yeah.
No.
Because you know I don't know how to fish.
Well, we'll teach you. It's really interesting how they do it. Scott is already certified in it. They have 4 stations. They teach you how to tie knots. They teach you how to cast. They teach you how to deal with stormwater. It's very good as far as nature training. What else, Scott? What am I forgetting?
Yeah, the rules component.
Okay, the rules, the most important part. If you watch, you're going to see some building activity happening in the area behind the Girl Scouts building. Their conceptual consent was given by the Planning Commission to a beautiful 3-story assisted living complex that will bring about 90 jobs into also an upscale rental community that is presently building homes in Hudson. Redwood has built these homes all over the state. The average age of people living there is 52. It's more than just rental homes. It's a concept. The concept is that even though it's pricey, they will be giving you any kind of service you need. So in other words, you know, you come back from shopping and you got a TV in the car. Now how you going to get it in the house? They'll come do that for you. You got a bulb out over your sink. They'll come do that for you. So it's pretty much a concept idea of we're going to take care of you. The type of people that go into that usually are, the rent is going to be starting at about $1,400 a month. So that's pretty tough for a lot of us to afford. They have 2 bedrooms. They have very, I don't know if people remember Paul Fife, because he's a cornerstone of our community as far as being a builder. He was once a council person. And I asked Paul if he would take a ride to Hudson with me to look at these homes. So, you know, what better way, if you're going to go look at a car, take a mechanic? Well, I took Paul, or he took me, and we went to look at these homes, and he was very impressed. That means a lot to me. Somebody like Paul, who's all about Macedonia, who's all about doing a job right, says, these are nice. That means a lot. Most of the people who live there are empty nesters, so that's why having the services, people will be a little bit older, will be nice. And if you think about it, you have this beautiful 3-story building that's going to be right on the edge of the cul-de-sac behind the Girl Scouts. And there's going to be doctors in there, and there's going to be, you know, high salaried people. they're just liable to take a few steps to go home and live in this new rental community. It's a new concept, and it's been thriving. Why? Well, the housing market crashed, and people start thinking a little differently. Maybe investing in a house was not the best way to spend your money. So this concept's really taken off. They're all over the state of Ohio already. We are involved in yet another water main break by Aldi's. Please remember, it's not us repairing those leaks, it's the city of Cleveland. They are not as prompt as our service department. A lot of people are asking me, what's going on next to Steak and Shake? There will be a tire store there called Discount Tire. They're a national tire chain now moving into the Ohio area. I met with the Girl Scouts' new chief executive officer in my office yesterday. Jane Christensen is her name, and she has impressive credentials. But out of everything she's done, she says the thing that provided her a wealth of experience, qualifying her for this job as the executive of the Girl Scouts, was the fact that she was a Girl Scout and a Girl Scout leader. And that's key to her being such a good fit for this position. We're very lucky to have the Girl Scouts headquartered here. First of all, I consider it prestigious. We have the central location for 20 counties right here in Macedonia. And practically speaking, that's a good thing for our businesses, because when they come into town, they spend money. Jim Digitano and I were in Kent today for a meeting of the Portage Summit Regional Collaboration Movement. A lot of big words there. I will be bringing forth legislation to have Macedonia join with these other communities in a regionalization effort to save on service equipment. We will be sharing and renting equipment because we belong to this, if we pass that legislation, with equipment from Aurora, Cuyahoga Falls, Hudson, Kent, Manaway, Ravenna City, Ravenna Township, Shalerville, Stowe, and Streetsboro. Twinsburg also. And what really makes this a good deal is the state of Ohio will be participating. So ODOT is going to make their equipment available to us to rent or use. That's phenomenal, because service equipment is not a lightweight, it's a heavy hitter when it comes to the financial purchase. And this is a tremendous idea. I think Jim's efforts to get us as one of the participants will pay off big time. Good job, Jim. By the way, if you've not been to Kent lately, you really need to see it. They're undergoing millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars of rejuvenation, and their presentation to all of us emphasized the importance of having a mayor and a council and a college president, along with local businesses, all working together to move forward. To them, the word no was not acceptable. The word yes made it all work, and wait till you see the results. It's amazing. And that concludes my report. Are there any committee reports this evening? The Planning Commission did okay a few signs at our meeting. We also gave a conceptual consent to that new building for the assisted living and for that new development. Right now, all of those things are conceptual. They just are coming to us, and things are asked like, number one, is it zoned properly? What effects will it have on the neighborhood around it, and so forth. And the Planning Commission felt satisfied that this would be a good fit for Macedonia, so we passed it conceptually. They'll be back with the details in the future. Any other committee reports? We have department reports. How about it, Jim?
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Phase 1 of Summer Road is finally complete. And we will be going out for bids for Phase 2, which is the remaining 25 trees on the road. Also in town, Ohio Edison through Davy Tree has been clearing quite a few, cutting and trimming trees. Actually, there's 250 of them, and that's to protect the overhead wires in town. The animal control contract has been reinstated, effective today, thanks to Scott. I spoke with Steve Suter from A&S, and they will be handling the animal control for us. You need to call service or dispatch whenever you have a problem with animal control, and we'll make sure that he's sent out there. It's he would prefer it this way if that's how it would be handled. And if you have any other problems, like with nuisance trapping and that, you could call the service, and we'll be happy to get you in touch with Mr. Suter, who will explain the steps in regards to that part of it. Also, for Earth Day, there will be a dumpster placed at this first parking lot on the entrance from 82. At first opening, we're going to have a 40-yard dumpster placed there. You will be able to put all your rubbish and debris. I know it's cleanup week. It'll be there Monday for you. So if you want to start cleaning your garages and that, bring it. The dumpster will be there for your use. We just ask that you don't bring any household items like chemicals, paint, oil. We can't accept that. Just clean up your yards and with debris and so on, your garages, that we can accept. I'm not going to tell you any more about that because I know Tim wants to tell you his end of it, and Scott what he has prepared for you. So that's it, Mayor.
Jim, I have just 3 quick questions.
Yes, sir.
Is there a date, a work order to repair the really, really bad sidewalk, the one really, really bad sidewalk on Crow? Is that scheduled to get done soon?
I don't have anything that was given to me yet.
Okay.
Any type of work order. As soon as I get it, we'll look at it.
Can you go by and take a look and decide if you think it needs to be fixed?
Yes, I will. You have
I'll give
the
you the
address again,
address.
please?
Yeah, I'll give it to you.
Oh, okay.
And then I have a quick question about Nick's Tree Service. Are they still on our do not use list, or are they okay now?
No, they're okay. I have quite a few that I'm going to put out with the bids too.
I have a couple of dead, big ash trees in my yard. Do I have to get a permit to hire a tree service to come cut them down?
I believe you do.
No.
That would be, or no?
There's no permit needed for removing trees, but your contractor has to be registered with the city.
Okay. Should we call? Can you answer that question?
Yes,
over
we
the
can
phone
answer it
when we
right on the
call?
phone. Yep.
Okay. That's all.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Jim. Okay, Mike.
Yep. I'm just going to elaborate on your report, Mayor. We have assisted living center coming in with 98 units, 80 apartment units coming in for Girl Scout. We have a 100,000 square foot addition to 1261 Highland. It's a furniture warehouse that's going in there, and they're occupying a lot of space. Discount Tire is going very well. We have a good contractor on there, and I'm going to be proof rolling the pad on Monday. Kenmore Construction purchased almost 100 acres of land off of Empire Drive. They are working out details of what they're actually going to do with the property. Nothing is set in stone right now, but they are going to be one of our largest property owners. That concludes my report.
Very good. Angela.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We are trying to get the word out that the Recreation Department will not be issuing a hard copy printed brochure of our summer programs. We are going to go all online, so we encourage everybody to start visiting our website. We have revamped it within the last 6 months. We're very proud of it. So all of our programs, registration dates, any upcoming events, all of that information can be found either by calling our staff, stopping in, asking questions, but everything will be available on our website. We recently surveyed our patrons for about a 2-month period regarding fitness classes and offerings to see what people would like to see at the center, what we'd like to change. We are changing that program. In the past, we've had 7-week sessions scheduled. We are no longer having sessions that we will offer. We will offer classes, a class schedule on a monthly basis, and people will be able to buy punch cards so they can go to any classes that they would like, whether it's aquatic, whether it's land fitness. So we think this is a positive change. It's a big change from what we've always done in the past, but this seems to be the trend in the fitness industry. This is what people want. This is what our instructors want. So we're trying to accommodate our patrons, and we're very excited about that. So beginning in May, we will have just a monthly fitness schedule, and you'll be able to purchase 5, 10, and 20 class visit cards. So if you have any questions about that or would like more information, anyone's welcome to contact myself or any of my staff, and we can further elaborate on that. Thank you.
This is a very skilled young lady. We run our fitness center as a business. I really appreciate the fact tonight that council voted down the legislation and put their confidence in our recreation director to help us decide when price increases are needed or what we need to do. And she never fails to try and make sure that people get their money's worth. So thank you for all that you've done, and I'm glad it turned out the way it did.
Thank you.
All right, Scott.
Thank you, Mayor. As what Mr. DiGlitano was talking about for Earth Day, along with some giveaways, I think he forgot to mention some T-shirts that we had available for first 100. I'm not sure what was ordered. But also we have some tree seedlings that we're giving away. 12 to 16-inch river birch will be one of the options, and they're 3-year-olds, and also some blue spruce. And there's some other ideas that were coming out, some things that Tim has lined up. But a quick report for our JED, which is the Joint Economic Development District, a 50% share for the sales taxes that we collect on Northfield Township in that industrial area, retail area. We have 21% increase from this year in March, period 3, as compared to last year, which is $4,240. So we collected $23,562 in March compared to $19,322 last year. And for a total of this year, we've collected just shy of $80,000 so far. So we'll be, again, that's 50-50 share that we share with our neighbors. For the major part of our general fund, the year-to-date tax for 2013 is up from last year 15%, $284,000 up. At the end of March, we collected $2,086,000 compared to $1,802,000 for 2012. So again, the collections are going good just from the cost of individuals, and we're probably seeing a bump mostly on the individual side of the taxes at this point. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Scott, excuse me, just a couple of quick questions. Have we solved the problem with the giant mound of dirt on the JED? Is there anything that you have to report about that?
No, I don't. I think our engineer has been looking at that.
Okay. Also, are each member of council on the finance committee?
Yes, your council of the whole.
So each council person would have a reason to want to know finances.
Absolutely.
In order to make
Dave Engel's our chair, but everyone's on the committee.
Okay, so it's not unusual to ask you a question about our finances.
No, I prefer that you ask me to get the right answer.
Okay. And just to clarify, it's not your job to pass on who makes a records request about financial matters, is it?
No.
So how somebody might know that or even misinterpret that as a problem, can you imagine how that could happen?
No.
Because once you tell the mayor's secretary, it's not sent a memo to everybody in the building.
No, it's not.
Okay. That's all.
Tim?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll just finish up with the Earth Day celebration. We will have T-shirts for the first 100 participants or an Earth Day bag, and the first 600 participants will receive the tree seedling. It starts at the fire department at 9 a.m., concludes at 12. We will have donuts, hot chocolate, coffee, juice there, and we'll also have trash bags that people can pick up, and then they can go out and clean up their neighborhoods. We have the Boy Scouts coming, the Girl Scouts coming, and also our fire explorers are going to work on Route 8 with some fire trucks so that we can be clearly seen. So that is taking place April 20th from 9 till 12. That's it, Mayor.
Tim, one quick question.
Yes.
At the fire that these policemen did such a wonderful job, could those policemen get on their radio and contact you, the incoming fire department, and tell you where they were and what they were doing?
Yes, absolutely.
Our police department and our fire department can communicate with each other without the slightest problem.
Yes, they just have to change to our radio channel or call back to our dispatch.
All right,
We frequently
calling back
monitor.
the dispatch takes more time than turning a knob.
Absolutely.
Changing frequency.
Yes, and they have the
can
right
do
to.
that. All right, and did our fire department know upon arriving at that scene that there was 1, 2, or 3 policemen inside that house?
When we arrived on scene, all the police officers were out. The truck arrived approximately a minute before I arrived, and I was confronted with the 3 police officers on the side of the house that were down. Our main concern, obviously, is life safety. Immediately called rescue squads for the 4 individuals that needed transported, the lady and the 3 police officers. Our crews positioned the truck to go into rescue mode. When we get on scene, we have to make the immediate decision of whether we're rescuing or whether we're putting water on the fire. We can't do both. The guys got off assuming that they were going to do a rescue, and they were told that everybody was out by the police officers, that there was nobody else inside, and then we went into extinguishing the fire.
So those 3 policemen arrived on the scene, assessed the situation, entered the building, made a rescue, made sure that they were all rescued and the victim, all before you got there.
Yeah, they were coming out the door when we were getting on scene.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Our police officers are out in the community. They're positioned in different precincts in the city. They were able to get on scene extremely quickly because they're out. We were approximately a minute behind them, and they were able to get inside. Now, not all the officers arrived on scene at the same time. They were also stepped behind each other. Our officers, along with our firefighters, they get paid to make immediate decisions. They don't have a day, they don't have an hour. They make decisions right at that time. The fire's burning, there's noise, there's sirens coming up, they're making decisions right at that time. They don't have the luxury of making a decision.
And they didn't worry about what their paycheck was or what they were going to be doing tomorrow. They stopped what they were doing and took care of business.
They made a decision based on experience, based on risk versus benefit. How much do they have to risk to receive that benefit? Firefighters will risk a lot to save a life, but they won't risk a lot to not save a life, I guess. You know, once the people are out of the fire comes. Mike, you know, being a past firefighter, a structure fire with people trapped is completely different than a structure fire with nobody inside of it. Mm-hmm. Our tactics change, our risk that we put ourselves into changes, and you know, they got on scene. They made an immediate decision that they could go in and get her out. It was extremely, it had a good volume of fire at the back of the house. And they made a decision to be able to enter in the front of the house with the Hayden's decision to send them around front, that they could get in easier around front, and they were able to go in 2 rooms back and get her out.
It's pretty cool, huh?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
John?
I just wanted to say the officers appreciate the proclamation, Mayor. I have a great staff, as you can see. There's nothing that I can say. I think their actions speak louder than anything I can probably say. So I just wanted to say, thank you from the department and the officers. The other thing is I just want to encourage council to pass the ordinance for the prosecutor. She does a fantastic job for us. She's available 24/7. The guys have called her while she's been on vacation. She is just stellar. That's all I have, Mayor.
And, Chief, I just wanted to say when all the other guys were here and all the department heads, but the reason, in August, it'll be 10 years that my wife and I built a house here, and it's because of city services. So that's why. And we could have chose to go anywhere, and a lot of other people could have chosen the same thing. It's because of that we're comfortable living here.
I got great guys. It makes my job a lot easier. I have good folks, a lot of young guys. As you've seen a lot of hires, and we're going to have some more. But Vince Danko, who led the action, is a training officer. We only had 2 cars arrive on the scene because we only had 2 cars in town. Vince Danko and Brandon Heisler were training, so that's 2 cars showed up, and then Nick came shortly thereafter. But thanks.
Chief, while you were gone, I asked a few questions about records requests, and of course you know that as a member of the Finance Committee that I requested both yours and Lieutenant Danko's W-2 form for 2012.
I don't know that, no.
Did you have any problem with that?
I didn't know that, no.
Okay, so you were not aware of that at all?
No.
Okay, that's all I need. Thanks.
When did you do that?
I think it was December, as we were getting ready to talk about finances, which we never really had a special meeting for that kind of stuff. But maybe next year.
Joe, do you have a report?
Yes, Mayor. First of all, on the idea of the public records request, we do have a policy, and that policy needs to be followed by the finance director as well as any other employee in this city. There are certain things in a W-2 that are not public knowledge, especially about police officers, and should not be released, and therefore the requirement to check with the law department is in that policy and procedure, which has been in place since 2008, Josephine, is it?
Yes.
So everyone's aware of that, and everyone should follow that, whether it's related to finances or anything.
What are the things that you wouldn't say besides a social security number?
As for the prosecutor, I too support the increase, which is a moderate request in the number of hours that our prosecutor has spent. It's difficult for you to put a cap on the amount of crime in this community. If we could pass an ordinance that said we're only allowed so many crimes, that would be great, but I don't think anyone would follow it. So it's important that we not try and cap the things that a very vigorous and fast-growing community such as Macedonia has to endure. We have hotel problems, we have a lot of commercial and industrial areas that we have to protect, and we want the criminals to get the message that they're not to come into this community. As I pointed out in my e-messenger article, there's a lot that goes on in this community and has been going on, and it's all positive. Crime is a deterrent of crime is a positive thing. Crime is a negative thing. And the more we beef up our support in doing that in every aspects of law enforcement, including prosecution, is very important. We also received a new lawsuit in the past couple of weeks that I have summarized to the mayor and council from a Frank Pla, a property owner in Parkview Estates subdivision. He has sued the city for over $1 million, as well as the Planning Commission, certain members of the council and Planning Commission. They have also sued personally the Homeowners Association members, who are just residents trying to keep their own community in a decent way. And those lawsuits are being handled in the federal court for the Northern District of Ohio, Eastern Division. We have insurance for part of this, but we would not have insurance for the $1 million that's being requested in punitive damages, nor the injunctive relief that is being requested that the court order that a permit be given to this gentleman to build a second home on the lot that he bought in that approved subdivision. And as a result of the decisions that were rightfully made by the Building Department, Planning Commission, engineers, and so on, We believe we will be successful in the end, but it will be a cost to our taxpayers to do so. That's all, Mayor.
Mr. Deemert, I have a question that's been, I have been requested by 2 residents to ask you this. In a council meeting Thursday, March 14th, it came to light that the mayor had assumed the position of service director and was receiving compensation for this position. The charter of the city of Macedonia states the following, that the mayor shall not be otherwise employed by, nor shall hold any other office in this municipality except as otherwise provided in the charter or by ordinances enacted thereof. This was amended November 7th, '89. Please provide a legal opinion for council and the residents on the following question. Is the mayor in violation of the charter, or is there some other legislation or charter section authorizing the appointment?
Okay,
You'll get back to us.
that's what an opinion does. I'll get back to you.
Also, you didn't hear my question because you kept talking after I asked it.
When was
Rita,
that?
just now.
Well, you asked me if I would do that, and I said, okay.
But no, before that, I asked you a follow-up about certain information that's not public. I would assume that a social security number is not public, maybe even a police officer's address or a prosecutor's address or your address.
Correct.
What other things would not be information that the general public could or should know about an
I'll make
employee?
that a topic of my next e-messenger report. That would not require be able to be answered just here off the cuff.
In other words, is it a protection for the employee? For example, me as a councilman, my address is not on the television, but my phone number is. My home phone number. However, is that done just because that's all that a citizen really needs to have?
Well, it's probably done because the councilmen don't mind their home phone being listed. If they did, it would not be listed.
So the intention of listing our phone number is that if someone has a question about something, they could certainly call us. They could write us. They could even catch us at the movie or in the grocery store and ask a question. Is it my job as an elected representative of the city of Macedonia to respond to questions for information from the general public? Or should I say to them, that question sounds like it should be for the service department, here, call the city hall and ask for the service department. So I'm trying to be educated as to what would be the best thing for me to say to the public, so they don't think that we're evading their question. Is it really my job to dig deep and find out everything I could possibly need to know about maybe our clerk and what she does, or maybe the building department? Or is my job to say, I heard what you said, and I'm gonna get back to you, and I'm gonna refer you to the mayor's office or the chief's office or the fire department? I wanna know what to do, because a lot of people call me, and I started keeping a register of all the people that call me and what they're calling about, and you'd be amazed.
Can I offer a thought, Mr. Miller?
Sure.
Mr. Deemer? You know, you're obviously getting at something. You're speaking with a lot of ambiguity. I've always...
I thought it was pretty clear. It's English?
No, you're getting at something.
Oh, okay.
I've always found it easy to talk to the people, like, Mr. Ladd, I have a question. Here's what I think. Mrs. Arcisi, I have a question about something. Can we talk? No, when you're digging into public requests and all this stuff and doing things backhanded, that's where all these problems start to begin.
Backhanded? Define backhanded for me.
In other words, instead of going to the source and asking a question, you're not doing that.
I'm not?
You're going behind the scenes.
Explain to me what I'm doing wrong.
Well, what are you getting at tonight? There's a nefarious tone to your questions, and there's a lot of ambiguity going along with it.
You must be a wise and suspicious man at the same time, because I've asked simple, straight, direct questions.
Regarding what?
With the intention of finding out what, in fact, our law director's advice is in handling these numerous requests from the general
Well,
public.
Mr. Miller, I have to echo what Mr. Molnar is saying, because you have sat through several sessions with me on that very subject. I have read to you verbatim the
What
powers,
subject?
the powers and duties of what a councilman does.
Answer my question.
And you're not empowered to answer questions on behalf of the administration. You are not empowered individually to investigate. You are not empowered to direct your clerk individually. Council can only act by its majority or through its council president.
Does the council?
Your charter,
have
you asked me a
job
question.
other
Do you
than-
want to argue or you want to hear an
No,
answer?
I want the
You
truth
asked the
here.
question, section 4.09, powers and duties of council. It's black and white.
Mm-hmm.
Nowhere in there does it say that you have the authority or the power to be fielding questions from residents about administrative matters.
So they shouldn't call me?
You should refer them to the correct department if you want to do that.
Tell them, I should refer them to the correct department.
That's right.
Okay.
If they want the accurate answer. If they want your political opinion, that's a different reason. If they want to know whether or not you'll support changing a law, that's something different. I mean, you can express your opinion to them, but you do not have the authority as an individual councilman
So if a person
to do
calls
anything
me
other
up-
than what the charter says.
Okay. I think we should get that in writing from you. I would like.
It's
to
in
get it
writing,
from you.
section 4.09.
I want it from you. I'm paying you.
I don't need to repeat that. Why would you want to
Sure you
cuss?
do. That's a big fat book. I don't have that big fat.
If the majority of council asks me to do it, I'll do it. Individual councilmen do not have the
Oh,
authority.
So the majority of council has to ask you to do.
That has always been the case. But as a courtesy, my department, for 25 years, has always responded to individual councilmen and tried to assist them, even if they were one vote on an issue. But it's getting abusive now. And if it continues that way, then I'm going to require a majority council, as the code would require.
So if a citizen calls you as the law director and has a question, do you not answer it for them?
I'm not obligated to,
Do you?
on occasion.
Okay. But you would not say to them, you really better ask the building commissioner about that one, or the fire chief.
Absolutely, always do that. I direct them to the right place.
So my job should be to direct them to who I think they should be and answer their question and tell them to call City Hall.
That's a prudent thing to do.
Mr. Deemer, are you done, Mike?
I am, yes.
Next.
I received, this was laying up here,
Yes.
okay, a public records request from you. And I noticed
Well,
that
it's
just-
also a notice to not allow, both of you have used personal computers against, Mike has against our
Well,
advice, but,
I just wanted to tell you,
yeah.
Josephine can tell you this, that my personal computer, there was a public records request for everything on my computer, and I
it
sent
was a month worth.
everything
It was
for
a
a
month.
whole year to her,
For a
okay?
month. It was a month request. It was a month request.
It was a whole year.
No, it was a month request.
I'll pull
I
it all
have
back
that.
again. And then now we have the iPads, now, and everything is, and even she said in an email that everything is transferred through the server, okay? Everything that everybody up here has had from the Plaza, you guys already have.
Correct.
Okay, I don't have anything, but I noticed that Mr. Miller and I are the only two that got this public records request, and there's other people that actually got the same emails from the Plaza, and I've got everything that you've ever gotten.
Well,
So
the
I'm
reason
telling
that
you I don't have anything.
the reason that
You
you
already
two
have it.
the reason that you two are the only ones is because with our beginning of our investigation of the files on this subject, to protect our citizens, we found that there were emails on your personal email, there were emails on Mr. Miller's personal
Well,
email
because it was
predating
routed, it was
I.
routed through before the iPads.
If I could finish.
And also, the homeowners association
You asked me a
also-
question. Can I
Also
answer?
sent me emails to my home, my personal home, and I didn't give it to them, so somebody else did.
It predates the iPads, some of this correspondence and emails.
You already
so-
have all the information from me. I don't have anything that you don't already have.
Okay.
Okay?
Same thing here.
And I'm
I'm-
answering the public
I'm
records
not-
request.
I was not the person that they wanted to ask questions about this time. But I know what to do next time. You're gonna get a lot of phone calls.
Is there any other unfinished business?
Motion
Is
to
there any
adjourn.
new
Second.
business? We are adjourned. Thank you very much for coming. See you next time.